W and a meet record.
Yeah, it was, I mean, things have been going really well up in Flagstaff. My first real serious go altitude training, and there's a fantastic group of people up there. But you never know how that stuff translates onto actual track times. When you're doing altitude training, or so I've been told, and what I wisely followed was that you do all your workouts, the first half or the first 2/3 of the workout is more threshold or a lot of sort of 5K, 10K work, and then you can finish off with some really fast stuff. And I closed a couple of workouts in 51 for a 400 and then a 121 for a 600. So I knew my speed was there and that I could finish strongly, but that doesn't always translate to being able to handle the early part of the race, especially when we went out and I think 28 through the first 209 meters. I was like, oh, but it set up perfectly.
Yeah, how's it been training with Will and Maverick?
It's been great. Will was really my coach for the time up in Flagstaff because he's been up there the last 2 years and he's had a lot of success off of it. And our coach Ron Warhurst doesn't really have a lot of experience with altitude training. So Ron would set the training and then he would bounce off ideas with Will to adjust it to fit with what works in Flagstaff specifically. And my wife and I had a great time with our son, and I was nervous for this race. I mean, I haven't raced since September. There he is. But definitely build up the confidence training with Will, and then he goes and has a solid race last week on the flat track in North Carolina. So I knew I'm not going to have a bad race at least. So.
What does this say about your fitness going forward? I mean, I know the big goal is World Championships. You know.
Yeah, I mean, even back in 2008, I wanted to treat the indoor season very seriously to build up confidence for the Olympics. And ever since then, it seems to have worked to take indoors very seriously, try as hard as I can to run as fast as I can, and I never can get to my very best, but it gives me a great platform of speed. Then I go back to my strength work April and May, and then when I come back onto the track again, I'm already ahead of where I was for the indoor season. So it's an approach we're taking this year, so hopefully this sets a benchmark from which to grow from. This traditionally isn't a super fast track. It's fast enough, but normally you can go a bit quicker on some of the steeper banked tracks, Arkansas and Melrose Games and stuff like that, so we'll have to wait and see.
Are you surprised at how fast you ran today coming down from altitude?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping, my very hope was to try and get the A standard out of the way, which I think was 3:53.2, I believe. This is the first year ever the IAAF is accepting mile times for qualifying. So that's, you never know what might happen. You might pick up an injury or something, so to get it out of the way it's an insurance policy for my season. So that was my best case scenario goal, as well as winning it. But you always want to try and win, and I set my New Year's resolution this year was to beat Kiprop, Kiplagat and Solomon. Deep down I probably should have added Agita and Centrowitz to it as well, because those are the 5 guys that are normally battling it out for the medals. So I got one of the scalps today.
How did you feel throughout the race? Pretty comfortable?
I felt good, but at the same time you're fearful because I sometimes overanalyze races a little too much. I wanted a negative split the race. Perhaps I ended up doing that anyway, but the first 400 was quicker than I hoped. I hoped we would pick it up with 600 to go, but because the first 400 was so fast, we really just settled into 60-second laps after that for a few laps, and then I got going in the last 200, obviously. It means a lot. John Walker is obviously a legend in New Zealand, and they didn't have as good a tracks as this to run on, but any time you can displace his name out of respect, it's good for the sport in New Zealand. It will get headlines in the newspapers and stuff like that. Zane Robertson from New Zealand just ran a sub 60-minute half marathon, so track and field and road running is at the tip of everyone's tongue back home. So now with this performance, it will set up a really interesting matchup. We're going head-to-head in a 5K in 3 weeks' time. So you get the half marathon sub 16 and a 3:51 mile. I'm still petrified by the 5K, but it will definitely make an intriguing race.